Welcome back to the Management Channel. I'm Michael Rohr, and this is Will Hopkins, here for a night class special report.
Tonight's topic, the Boeing 787 Dreamliner debacle. Let's take a look at what our research team has found.
So, in the late 1990s, Boeing began to fall behind their competitor Airbus. Market shares were falling, and popular models such as the 667s and 747 sales were down. Facing the threat of Airbus's growing success, Boeing had to come up with a plan to gain the competitive advantage again. So they went to the drawing boards. Boeing's executives must have realized they had to add value for customers and strategize for improvement through innovation.
And we'll be right back with after a few short questions from our presenters.
Boeing sought to produce an aircraft with a revolutionary improvement to the design. This resulted in the decision to use a lithium-ion battery instead of the traditional cadmium-nickel battery. The lithium-ion battery would make flying a lot more efficient because it reduced the amount of fuel needed by 20%, making it cheaper for customers who pay on a cost-per-seat basis.
However, this decision was a risky move by Boeing because it was the first case that a lithium-ion battery was ever used on a commercial jet, and the designs included 2 per jet. Though lithium is lighter, it is a lot more unstable and highly reactive when combined with other metals. When these batteries overcharge, they are likely to catch fire.
Oh, like the cell phone and car batteries catching fire recently. Reminds me of Adele's voice.
I'm not sure who that is, but what else did the company do for their designs?
Well, the company also made the manufacturing switch from the typical aluminum material to a composite material. This was composed of aluminum, titanium, and carbon fiber, which would make the plane lighter and more comfortable by equalizing levels of pressure and humidity in the cabin. It's like taking a Toyota Corolla and changing it into a Chevy Camaro. America.
The CEO decided to outsource much of the production of the Dreamliners. This was a colossal, gigantically huge step away from the way they typically did business. Unlike previous models, where only 5% of its materials are outsourced, over 30% of the Dreamliner's parts were outsourced to different countries. This decision was made without input of the employees. Suckers. Funny you mentioned the Toyota Corolla earlier, because Boeing also decided to follow a new outsourcing model for the Dreamliner production. Inspired by the Toyota model of outsourcing, they created their own tier system.
What was the difference from the Toyota outsourcing model?
It included 3 tiers. Tier 1 suppliers were contracted to be integrators, meaning they would subcontract and oversee tiers 2 and 3 to manufacture different components, and tier 1 would then be responsible for the big picture production.
Sounds messy.
Well, the company created a communication plan that involved an online-based communications tool. It was implemented to make the supply chain visible, speed up development, and lower cost. Manufacturers were supposed to enter updates about production.
Well, the intended budget was $6 billion, and the time frame was set for 4 years. Will, do you know what I could do with $6 billion? Make Blake Lively my wife is the first thing.
I could quit and never have to talk to you again.
Much like my plan with Blake Lively, Boeing's plan quickly backfired when all the parts that were contracted in different locations all over the world came back to the Tier 1 suppliers, and they just didn't fit together. Instead of supplying the manufacturers with a detailed blueprint like Boeing typically did, they gave their manufacturers artistic license to create the parts and have them done by the deadlines.
This toxic strategy was catalyzed by the decision to punish the manufacturers for being late. They also failed to offer other incentives for them to be done in time and correctly.
In an attempt to make the deadlines, Tier 2 and Tier 3 manufacturers further subcontracted parts. Tier 1 manufacturers then used poorly secured bridges to try to make the pieces fit together when they naturally didn't.
On top of these issues, the manufacturers did not follow procedure in updating the online communications tool ExoStar, with updates about production resulting in a lack of communication and organization.
Boeing ended up having to buy out the worst offender of the 50 Tier 1 manufacturers and then send expertise to the others.
The funny thing about all their steps to prevent delays is that they failed. These issues caused delays anyways, and eventually set the company back many years and billions of dollars over budget.
So naturally, the company used its political prowess to pressure the government organization, the FAA in this case, to speed up the inspection process so that it could come to the market faster.
But I thought this model was supposed to be highly innovative with its new lithium-ion battery and new electrical systems, as well as its new carbon fiber, titanium, and aluminum composite material. These changes in design and manufacturing should have made the inspection process for the 787 longer than it actually took.
Yeah, but Boeing's influence pressured the FAA to speed up the process. During testing, there was an electrical failure and an emergency landing due to a foreign object. And get this, no changes were made to the models, and Boeing acquired a waiver to pass the FAA regulation on size, quantity, and manner of use of the batteries.
So it finally came to market 3 years past the deadline? 3 freaking years?
Yes, but the FAA soon grounded the entire Dreamliner fleet after 2 planes experienced electrical issues.
You guys, yes, we're talking about the 787 Dreamliner once again. Just a battery alert, but it caused a plane to land in Japan. They had to evacuate a lot of emergency vehicles.
It is a big headline. You may have seen it already. U.S. regulators grounding Boeing's 787 Dreamliner, the plane on which the company has staked its future.
The first battery caught fire at the Logan International Airport. The second occurred soon afterwards, where a Nippon Airways flight had to execute an emergency landing due to another battery fire. The fleet was grounded for 3 months while being reinvestigated.
So what did Boeing do?
Well, the batteries were reinforced with a box that would insulate any fires and allow them to safely burn out by limiting the supply of oxygen.
Due to the lack of communication, organization, and manufacturing, poor tests, and poor regulation, the company experienced a PR nightmare.
This is some Freddy Krueger type shit.
Additionally, there was a lack of direction from the CEO during the crisis, who moved his office to Chicago to avoid how do you design airplane stuff. This left sub-level managers to deal with the issues that were unfolding.
All in all, the company ended up going $26 billion over budget, spending a total of $32 billion on the plane's development. And that's it for tonight. As always, stay classy, Jackson.